KSL's Paul Nelson has been live on the scene over the past hour, talking with police officials, and he knows a lot more about what happened this afternoon. Paul, what can you tell us about the circumstance involved in this shooting?
Well, we do know what led up to this was that a federal warrant was issued to the man that the ATF was actually looking for. They made contact with him, and he was in a white car on 8960 South, very close to the track station. And also, he put his car in a parking lot of a preschool, and this is where the shots were fired. However, there is still a lot of information that has not been released just yet, as far as who shot first, whether or not there was an exchange between the officers or the suspect, whether it was a self-inflicted gunshot. All of that stuff will be investigated by the Unified Police Department as they take over this investigation.
So anything that happened, was it between the police and Sandy, or was it ATF agents who were involved?
It was the ATF that was looking for him, and so that's why Sandy was allowed to kind of take over the PIO duties for now, because their officers were not involved. They're assisting now, but as far as the shooting, this was between ATF and the suspect. But again, not sure exactly even if the ATF fired or if this was just self-inflicted. They're going to look into that.
This became everybody's concern when the shooting took place in a preschool parking lot. Were there children inside at the time?
That's information they do not know, but they do say nobody else was hurt, which is kind of surprising since there were still other people inside the suspect's car. So despite, people being very close, only the suspect was hurt, and he was taken to Intermountain Medical Center.
So right now, is the investigation continuing? The tape is up where you are?
Tape is up, exactly. And right now, 8960 South is shut down between 220 East and the track station. But it's a pretty small street, and there's only a couple of houses that are being affected and the preschool, like I mentioned before. But the rest of the traffic at 90th South, if the police and the media weren't parked on 90th South, it's almost like you wouldn't know that anything was happening on this street. But the major thoroughfares are open. This side street is not.
How about the condition of the guy who was shot? Do we know anything about that? Have you been able to find out anything from authorities?
We asked if he had life-threatening injuries, and that's information that has not been given to the Sandy Police Department right now. I asked where was he hit. That's also information he couldn't divulge at the moment, but he was the only one that was injured here.
We've seen this time and again in these situations. The police want to make sure they dot their I's and cross their T's before they give information to the public. Typically, how long is it before we hear those details? Will that be tomorrow, later tonight?
Great question. It's one of those things where because of protocol, the agency that was involved in the shooting is not allowed to actually handle the investigation. And sometimes even the department that's doing what we call the PIO job, the public information job, sometimes even that's given out to a different agency as well. So we can expect to find more details about this possibly later tonight, definitely tomorrow. But as far as what led up to the investigation, what led up to the actual shooting, that's something that the local police have not been told as of yet.
Well, the important part we know right now, everybody on the street and passersby are safe, and some streets are closed in the area, right?
Yep, and that's the other thing that's really surprising is that there were people in the car. There were so many people that were close by to where the shooting happened, and the fact that only one person was injured, that's extremely lucky.
And we don't know if the other people in the car were arrested or just went free after this whole thing happened.
Yeah, it appears that they were not taken into custody. We're going to find out some more details. Lieutenant Dean Carriger with the Sandy Police Department, he is getting more details as fast as he possibly can. There might be an update. We don't know if there will be, but it's one of those things where all they said at the time was that nobody else was hurt.